Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Humanism at Home, a project from the Ethical Society of St. Louis. I am James Croft, I'm the Outreach Director of the Ethical Society of St. Louis, and today I'm going to be answering a question I receive a lot. What is humanism? That's actually a difficult question to answer. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine that an alien visits Earth for the first time and observes human beings engaging in religious rituals and finally, after their period of observation is over, asks you a question. What is Christianity? Well, you might say it's a religion. Well, what is a religion? The alien asks. And you think to yourself, this could be a very long conversation, because is it the institution of the church? But you can be a Christian without being a member of any church, so it can't be just that. Is it a particular set of beliefs that Christians hold? Well, that just opens the question of which beliefs, because different Christian groups believe different things. Calvinists aren't Catholics. Is it the ritual practices like Mass or communion? But then again, there are countless different Christian rituals and different Christian communities don't celebrate the same ones. It turns out that it's not easy to quickly define a religious or philosophical tradition. It's a complicated question. And no one would expect you to have a simple answer to the question, what is Christianity? Yet everyone expects the question, what is humanism, to have a simple answer. People are always asking me to provide an elevator speech on humanism, a short, simple explanation of what humanism is. But I'm sorry to tell you, that is impossible. Because humanism is a tradition as rich and complex and with as interesting a history as Christianity or Judaism or any other traditional religion. So the answer to the question, what is humanism, needs to be equally rich and complex. But that doesn't mean we can't say something that will fit in the video of just a few minutes, like this one. So where to begin? Let's start with this. Humanism, like a religion, is a connected set of values, a coherent view on life, a way of looking at the world which seeks to maximize human flourishing. That's the end goal, the summit to which humanists climb, a world in which all people's inherent worth and dignity is honoured. And humanism, in my mind, has three fundamental pillars. Compassion, a belief in the equal dignity and worth of all people. Reason, the idea that it is the human intellect which is the best tool to understand our experience. And hope, the ability of human beings coming together to change our world for the better. Compassion, reason, and hope, the three pillars of humanism. Now those pillars are connected. They all work together to hold up the great humanist edifice. Reason is important because it is only through better understanding our experience that we can maximize human flourishing and achieve our goal of compassion. The epidemic through which we are all living right now is ample evidence of that. The better we understand the virus, the better we can fight it. The less people will lose their lives to it. So our reason undergirds our compassion. Yet reason is useless unless we can use our reason to change our circumstances. And that capability of human beings to improve our own circumstances is what I call hope. So compassion, reason, and hope, the three pillars which together hold up the life stance of humanism. Now you might be thinking, where is God in this picture? Aren't humanists all supposed to be atheists? Well, the way I think about this is simple. Atheism is an outgrowth of the humanist commitment to reason, not a fundamental commitment of humanism in itself. Our clearest and best picture of the world, as we currently understand it, excludes God, so we don't turn to God for answers. But we don't begin with a rejection of God. Humanism isn't fundamentally about a rejection of God. It's about compassion, reason, and hope, and our reason in service of our compassion leads us to reject the idea that God exists. We begin fundamentally with a desire to fully understand the universe in which we live, and a desire to change the world to better honor human dignity. Those are our fundamental concerns, not God. It just so happens that following those concerns where they lead brings us to an atheistic worldview. Now, there are many critiques of humanism. There are philosophical critiques like, how do you ground humanist values? How can human beings have any worth in a universe in which no God exists? There are moral critiques like disagreements from other traditions over humanist moral stances. And there's the critique that humanism is a form of human exceptionalism, that we put human beings over other animals. And I'll address all these critiques and more in future videos. But what I want to stress right now is that there are many flavors of humanism, and some of them will respond to critiques like that in different ways. My expression of humanism is personal, rooted in my own experience and my own hopes for the humanist movement and the humanist congregation I serve. But there are other flavors of humanism, other understandings of the tradition, which draw on very different intellectual roots and come up with some strikingly different ideas. Anthony Pinn, for example, has written about African American humanism. There are explicitly feminist humanisms. There are queer humanisms. There are many different humanisms. Another reason why what is humanism is a difficult question to answer. And I don't see this as a weakness. I see it as a strength. It's appropriate for an anti-dogmatic tradition, a tradition which rejects scriptural authority and received truths, to have many different flavors, many different strands. And so my explanation of humanism in this video is not to be taken as ultimate. There are also many disagreements between humanists. There are disagreements over political questions, like which specific political policies to pursue right now. There are questions like, should all humanists be vegans, which have been debated at length in humanist circles. There is a vibrant discussion within the community about how specifically to actualize our fundamental values. But I still believe there is an integrity to the humanist movement and to the humanist worldview that is based on the elements that I have discussed. Humanism is, in all its versions, a consistent philosophy of life, a moral framework for examining the challenges we all face as human beings. And in that way, it's very much like a religion. It's concerned with human dignity above all, the value I have called compassion. All forms of humanism rely on the human intellect, particularly science, philosophy, and other collective intellectual pursuits to understand our world that I have called reason. And all forms of humanism assert the capability of human beings to shape our own future, rejecting notions of destiny and fate. All forms of humanism work for a world in which, due to the collective effort and fruits of the human intellect, the dignity of all people is honoured. That is what humanism means to me. I'd be interested to learn what it means to you. So leave a comment on this video and please like and subscribe to Humanism at Home.